What exactly is the infamous Dubai scandal that, just a few years ago, completely shocked the entirety of Poland? What truly enormous sums did the wealthy sheikhs pay to Polish models for bringing their wildest fantasies to life? Representatives of which highly prestigious professions willingly abandoned their families and their lives to indulge in entertainment with the Arab elite. How did the extensive scheme of human trafficking to the United Arab Emirates operate? And why was it impossible to expose for so many years? You will discover all the details in today's video. Greetings everyone. You're watching the channel based on real events. My name is Mikhailo Stak, and today I have for you the story of the Dubai scandal, which became the basis for the Polish film Girls from Dubai. The film tells about the realities of sexual exploitation of girls by the Arab elite. The actual real-life story that served as the foundation for this film once deeply stirred and shocked all of Poland, as the key figures in this particular case were extremely well-known and influential media personalities. Prostitution is certainly nothing new. It has always accompanied people, especially those who are influential and operate at the very highest levels of power. Money and a high social standing possess the power to corrupt anyone, compelling them to step beyond any moral boundaries. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that among the wealthy and influential, there has always been a demand for elite sexual services. There is also no shortage of women who are willing to do anything for fabulously expensive designer fashions, costly purchases in exclusive boutiques, and exotic journeys. But however, when the clients are not just anonymous individuals, but celebrities, politicians, athletes, sheikhs, and even members of the aristocracy and royal families, they do not wish to make use of the services provided by ordinary escort companies. They're willing to pay much more for well-known and respected women from newspaper front pages, celebrities, and beauty queens. However, they also pay for discretion and absolute confidentiality. Despite this, a scandal erupted a few years ago that shook Polish show business and cast doubt on the income sources of many well-known figures in that country. The Dubai scandal, which spanned a period of several years, specifically from 2005 to 2012, was directly linked to the involvement of models and various celebrities in high-end prostitution. The primary individuals involved in these particular events were identified as Polish women and young girls. Although the verdicts in this particular case were handed down in 2013, the true wave of public discussion and significant resonance only emerged a year later, when the full details of the matter became widely known thanks to an investigation conducted by the blog Tag the Sponsor. This case shocked society and revealed a hidden parallel reality. By that time, Instagram was rapidly gaining popularity and had already become one of the primary platforms for self-expression and showcasing a luxurious lifestyle. Many so-called Instagram models have utilized the social media platform to showcase their extensive travels, their fashionable attire, and their luxurious accessories, thereby crafting an idealized portrayal of their daily existence. However, this seemingly perfect image often masks a much darker side: prostitution, which was frequently organized through various sex managers. The Dubai scandal gained widespread notoriety when the creators of the blog Tag the Sponsor initiated a campaign to expose the true nature of famous Instagram models and how they conduct themselves, catering to the most depraved desires of the rich for exorbitant fees. Posing as organizers of sex tourism, they contacted celebrities from all over the world. This way, they were able to determine who among them was involved in these activities and how they were carried out. The campaign's organizers also reached out to wealthy individuals who had been using the services of high-end escorts. By publishing private conversations and screenshots, they exposed the Dubai scandal to the wider public and caused widespread shock. This is nothing more than plain and simple prostitution on their part. They might as well be publishing the actual ratings their clients have given them right beneath their photographs. We are not here to condemn prostitution as a practice, but we certainly do not condone women who choose to sell their own bodies and then look down with such disdain upon those who are living normal, everyday lives. We also have absolutely nothing against normal relationships with rich gentlemen. Unfortunately, those models demand money and attention, but they never actually show us where they manage to get all of it from. We are constantly asked why we do this. For entertainment, and to truly open people's eyes. Young girls look at these photos, full of glitter and luxury, but they don't realize that everything they see on Instagram models' profiles has its own price. This is precisely how the creators of Tag the Sponsor explained their actions in their statement back in 2015. The screenshots, which were released and published by an entity known as Tag the Sponsor, additionally showed exchanges of messages with Polish women who had willingly agreed to become sex workers. Based on the information that was uncovered by the campaign's organizers, these Polish women were expected to accompany sheikhs from the royal family of the United Arab Emirates on a luxury cruise heading to Saint-Tropez. This particular case was investigated by a Polish investigative journalist named Piotr Krysiak. He was the only individual who had exclusive access to all the prosecution's materials, knowing every name and intricate detail of this scandal. After thoroughly examining the evidence gathered by the prosecution and the case files, he authored the book Girls from Dubai. However, in his book, the author chose to conceal the identities of the Dubai girls. He also altered the names of the elite prostitutes from Poland. The Dubai scandal had long remained a secret, thanks to the effective operational mechanism of the sex managers. The suppliers of elite prostitutes primarily sought them on social media. When Instagram appeared, it became much easier. They focused on girls whose profiles boldly exposed their bodies, desired to travel, loved luxury, and enjoyed flaunting their material wealth. Sometimes, sex workers and their managers received information about potential candidates from modeling agency employees and photographers. Pimps also targeted participants in beauty pageants. If girls agreed and started engaging in such activities, it was incredibly difficult to get out of it. But for the most part, the majority didn't even want to. As Piotr Krysiak states in his book, one should imagine a 19-year-old girl who, after just a few weeks of such a vacation at the resort, returns home with tens of thousands of dollars. Will she agree after all that to take a normal job, where they pay perhaps even good money, but significantly less? What's more, the book's author said clients weren't just old geezers, but young, successful, athletic sheikhs, 30 to 35. Many girls saw this as just fun, sex without strings attached, even though they were merely powerless tools in the hands of the wealthy, who could do with them whatever they pleased. The Polish pimps, who were involved in the Dubai case, kept their travels a strict secret. They managed their operations with great cunning and skill, and were almost never apprehended. They fabricated alibis for their girls, ensured they had everything necessary, handled all the logistics, booked tickets, and maintained contact with Arab millionaires and billionaires. It was noted that the clientele included well-known oligarchs and even members of royal families. Despite this being primarily a Dubai-based scandal, these sex tourism trips were also organized to many other corners of the world, specifically to Cannes, Saint-Tropez, Ibiza, London, Beirut, Barcelona, Greece, Monaco, Geneva, Morocco, Singapore, Thailand, Madrid, and even Berlin. The girls would readily agree in advance to the terms and conditions presented to them. Most frequently, they would spend their nights in luxurious 5-star hotels. During these kinds of journeys, the Dubai girls would attend extravagant parties and pass their time at opulent Arab villas and on yachts. They accompanied millionaires to exclusive parties, lived with clients, and took part in arranged orgies. The Dubai girls' duties included catering to the clients' most repulsive fetishes. One such episode is shown in the film. In exchange for obedience and exclusivity, they received large sums of money and were given gifts: designer clothes, high-end gadgets, luxury accessories, and branded items. Those payments and presents were meant to secure their silence and loyalty and keep them tied to wealthy patrons. In his book, Piotr Krysiak also recounts that among his most sought-after clients was the Arab prince Santu. This was not solely because he possessed vast amounts of wealth, but also owing to his remarkably attractive looks and, most importantly, his excellent physical build. The prince himself is a truly handsome individual, standing at approximately 190 centimeters in height, very well proportioned, and, above all else, exceptionally affluent. He loved to have fun. He often didn't concern himself with the expenses. He preferred to have more and not use it than to have less and no options. He paid up to 1,000 euros per day for exceptionally beautiful girl. His inner circle also included his cousins, Carlos and Bilal, who, according to the author, were incredibly handsome. However, besides the fact that the prince only wanted to sleep with the most beautiful women, he also established a set of rules in the form of decrees, the violation of which led to immediate return to Poland. Any, even the slightest mistake or rudeness from a courtesan could end tragically. It happened on numerous occasions that girls who ventured into the city by themselves were forced to leave Santo's harem, and there was nothing that could alter this situation. The primary reason they could be immediately sent back to their homeland was their refusal to engage in sexual relations with Prince Santo. The girls were permitted to decline relationships with Bilal and Carlos, but under no circumstances were they allowed to refuse the prince. On one occasion, he sent a young woman home purely because she was mispronouncing his name. The expectation was that the girls would always be clean, beautiful, fragrant, and thoroughly well-rested. Under no circumstances were they permitted to appear at discos or clubs unaccompanied, nor were they allowed to be in the company of any other men. Sometime after the scandal, the Pudelek portal published the account of one of the girls who had participated in these trips. According to reports published by the portal, Magda, whose name has been changed, was dispatched to Geneva by a sex manager. In an interview with Pudelek, the woman claimed that the so-called Dubai girls knew from the very beginning what their services would entail and the exact purpose of their journey. The young women never offered any resistance and consistently fulfilled all of the clients' expectations.
We spent evenings with them, but not every single one. Maybe once every 2 or 3 days. There were parties at the villa by the pool, club outings, discos, and restaurants. In addition to that, there was sexual intercourse. I only had sexual intercourse with the one named Bilal, 2 or 3 times. None of the girls were surprised by the sex, because it was clear from the very beginning.
The rates that were being offered to the young women must have been exceptionally high. During a sting operation, the creators of the blog tagged the sponsor while they were attempting to recruit a dozen Polish models, offered every single one of them a sum of $25,000 for a 5-day trip. However, this was just a provocation. The amounts are also mentioned by the author of the book Dubai Girls, investigative journalist Piotr Krysiak. For the trip, the girls were offered €500 per day. Usually, each girl earned the exact same amount of money, regardless of whether she had sexual relations with anyone. According to another price list, escort was $200, and if sex an additional $200. For one trip, a model could earn €200,000. In the book, the author does not reveal the identities of the women mentioned. The names of the Dubai girls still remain a mystery. However, it is known that elite prostitution involved both Polish students and celebrities, actresses, singers, and models. Piotr Krysiak points out that the list is both long and quite striking. For instance, among those listed as prostitutes, there was a manager from Poland's largest bank, a flight attendant employed by an Arab airline company, a number of nurses, a saleswoman from a shopping center, graduates from the University of Warsaw's Faculty of Philology, and graduates of pedagogy, marketing, English language, economics, and tourism. One of them even won the prestigious Miss Polonia beauty pageant, others several European titles. Another was a participant in the popular Polish program Top Model, and yet another, as the press reported, became the girlfriend of a well-known TV actor. When the Dubai scandal became public knowledge, an uproar ensued about the potential Dubai girls. Women accused of providing sexual services quickly deleted their social media accounts. Along with their profiles, photographs from exotic trips that could have indicated their involvement in sex tourism also vanished. However, many names surfaced due to speculation and investigations by other media outlets, and internet users very quickly connected the characters described in the book Dubai Girls with real people. For example, in the context of the Dubai scandal, the name of Justyna Paulika from the Top Model program was mentioned, since in one of the screenshots from the madam's conversations, Justyna's name was clearly indicated, and it was also noted that she had been a participant in the Top Model program. Of course, the girl herself vehemently denied her participation in the Dubai scandal, stating she was in a different location at that time and accused her jealous ex-boyfriend of defamation. Among the participants in the scandal, the winner of Miss Polonia was also prominently featured. However, given that there had been several winners of this prestigious beauty pageant, it was not possible to precisely determine which individual was being discussed. Nevertheless, in 2018, the name of Marta Matiasek was often mentioned in conversations concerning Piotr Krysiak's scandalous book. The author of Dubai Girls never actually confirmed that she was the Miss Polonia he had described. However, once this case gained significant public attention, Marta Matiasek suddenly vanished from all her social media accounts. When the matter was referred to the prosecutor's office, most of the women denied any acquaintance with the potential pimps, who were 3 women: Joanna, Emilia, and Carolina. What's interesting is that these women operated almost entirely on their own. They weren't, as the saying goes, protected or backed by any mafia, no gangsters, nor any organized criminal group. Just 3 women managed to build an enormous corporation specializing in the trafficking of Polish girls, and this entire operation functioned for many, many years, without ever drawing the attention of law enforcement agencies or even other criminals, who of course would most certainly have wanted to claim their share of the profits. However, when the scheme was eventually uncovered, the Polish prosecutor's office established that the primary organizer of this entire operation was one of these women, a former fashion model and a past Miss Polonia pageant participant, who maintained the business under her direct control, meticulously working on the specifics of lavish journeys. According to Piotr Krysiak, everything was so incredibly well organized for her that over time she didn't even have to do a single thing, as the girls would simply come to her all by themselves. Piotr Krysiak notes that most of these girls who went to Dubai had boyfriends, partners, and some even husbands and children. None of them knew what their partner was really doing. Most of the girls claimed they were going for photo shoots, car shows, or construction fairs. Even a several-week stay at a resort full of millionaires could be explained by a promotional campaign for exclusive brands, during which they only had to present clothes or hand out flyers. In 2013, the Roswell court issued its initial verdicts in the case of individuals who encouraged models to engage in prostitution and subsequently profited financially from their activities. Among those implicated was Joanna, the daughter of a well-known rock musician. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation. Carolina was sentenced to 3 years of probation and was ordered to return over $10,000. Emilia, however, ended up behind bars. She served 8 months. Upon her release, she established her own business in Warsaw, specifically dealing with loans and credits. The Dubai scandal returned to the public eye with the premiere of the well-known Polish film Girls from Dubai. The book by Piotr Krysiak, which the film is also based upon, contained information taken directly from official law enforcement files. However, this was not quite enough to create a truly credible and engaging plot for the film, so they had to conduct their own extensive investigation. The film's producers dedicated 2 full years to their own detailed documentary work, during which dozens of conversations were held and many credible stories were thoroughly documented. The producers interviewed the scandal's main figures, law enforcement officials, families of all involved, and the wealthy, influential clients of the Dubai girls. During their multi-month investigation, the producers gathered completely new material, which the public had never even suspected. It was during this investigation that it became known that this whole scheme first started operating in Poland, and as demand grew, Polish pimps began establishing contacts with Arab millionaires and billionaires, organizing trips for women to Dubai, Cannes, and other prestigious cities in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. It was at that point that the true extent of this practice became apparent, along with the sheer number of public figures involved: singers, models, actresses, and winners of beauty pageants. Among the clientele of this agency were also well-known and highly influential Polish media personalities, politicians, athletes, businessmen, and even very prominent and affluent members of the clergy. By the way, representatives of the royal family of Saudi Arabia, who were clients of the agency, were also involved in 2018 in the death of the famous journalist Jamal Khashoggi, murdered in the Saudi consulate in Turkey. Despite the fact that a Saudi Arabian court convicted 8 individuals for this crime, a representative of the ruling dynasty, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, against whom accusations had been made, did not appear in the dock. An American investigation pointed directly to him, stating that he had personally approved the assassination. However, the producers of the film, Girls from Dubai, managed to uncover many horrific stories. One of these involves a Polish modeling agency that, on behalf of a Russian oligarch, recruited girls under the age of 18. During one such trip, one of the underage girls was tragically raped and then strangled. As a result of their investigation, the film's producers also reached the women whose lives were utterly ruined by the Dubai scandal. The easy money and expensive gifts they received could not compensate for their profound moral losses. Many of these women resorted to drugs and alcohol, while some others struggled with severe depression. Many young women paid for their participation in these trips with their help, and some even committed suicide. After the film's release, Polish society found itself divided into 2 camps. One side supported and felt pity for the girls who participated in these events, blaming the entire system, the organizers of this scheme, and the clients who sought such services. Others, however, emphasized that all the women knew exactly what they were getting into and what they expected in return. So a significant portion of the responsibility lies with them. What are your thoughts on this matter? Please write your thoughts in the comments and also give this video a like if you found it interesting. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. For now, I will say goodbye to you all and I look forward to seeing you again on YouTube.